So, Dean, Tim, we're here to make fun of Dean, I think, this morning, aren't we, Tim? Is that why we're here?
Well, you said it was acceptable. I'm not sure that's the actual purpose, but
Oh, okay. All right. I may have to go back to my notes. Anyway, we're here to talk about Hoffman, aren't we? And the relationship with Inventor-e. So tell me, Tim, tell us more about Hoffman to start with, just to set the scene.
yeah, okay. So Hoffman are a German-based business, but we're global. So we have subsidiaries all around the globe. But the majority of the work that we do and the clients we support are in Europe. Around about 90%, I believe, of the revenue comes from Europe. Over 100 years old, and for those 100 years, really focused on providing solutions, tooling, and equipment that help the manufacturing sector predominantly be more successful, more productive, and help those businesses to understand how they can improve working with us, how they operate.
So, I mean, a lot of people these days say it's a service country, Britain. We just all focused on
Mhm,
service industries.
mhm.
Why do you feel that UK manufacturing is important to focus on?
Um, Well, I think there's two or three different reasons really. I think we have I guess the business background from an economic perspective is that typically if you look at the top 10 economies in the world, I think nine of those countries are also the top in the top 10 for manufacturing. So that would suggest that a manufacturing sector in a particular country contributes hugely to the overall economic success. So there's a clear connection between that. So if you look at the UK, clearly for us that's really
Yeah.
important. And in the UK, around about 25% of our economy and employment is dependent on this sector. So, it would be fair to say that the UK is probably not enjoying the best time, currently from an economic perspective. But imagine what that would be like without the manufacturing sector. So, really, for us, we're focused on making that, really important area of our economy and our employment and employment base be more successful. And that's where we see it's important. On a personal level, if we have a strong economy, it's likely I've got more money in my back pocket to spend, and so I guess I have a personal investment, and our team have a personal investment on making that sector more successful.
You, Dean, do you agree with that, or have you got any other thoughts?
No, I completely agree with that. And obviously, we outsource a lot of our manufacturing to contract manufacturers, but we're still classed as the manufacturer because we develop the solutions, the intellectual property is ours, the software is ours. So we see ourselves, although we don't actually physically make it, we see ourselves as the manufacturer in terms of what we're delivering to the market, because it's our product. They are our products. We own them, and the compliance lies with us. So we see manufacturing as really important in the UK, and we have a very strong onshore strategy within Inventor-e. So where we can, we manufacture in the UK. So our contract manufacture is UK based for our vending machines, for example.
Yeah. So,
and where that's not possible, we tend to use Europe.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember, Tim, you said to me a while ago that UK productivity hasn't improved in sort of 15 to 20 years. Now, I can't believe that's just because Dean's getting older,
So, it could have something to do with it. Could have something.
It's the singular bigged reason the economy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. That's why we always see Dean Henry in inverted commas. Dean, that's the reason.
Tell me, why is that? I mean, is it a cultural thing? Why are we behind?
I think it's a really interesting question, and I don't know if I can tell you the absolute reason behind it, but I think culture is part of it. I think, typically we, maybe even as a nation, but certainly I see it in the manufacturing sector, we focus a lot on price rather than total cost of use or total cost of ownership. with a belief that, if we can just save a few percent on the product price, then we're doing a great job. And there's no doubt that it's important to have competitive pricing. There's, absolutely. But I think we need to think differently about where we really can improve efficiency and the impact of efficiency on profit rather than the price of the product that we're paying.
Yeah, so I can absolutely understand that sort of focus on the pennies, really, because I see it in a lot of the work I do as well. But I mean, how would you help somebody reduce increase their productivity and reduce overall costs, those sort of non-production costs and the overheads to increase efficiency? How would you go about that?
Well, I think there's two, there's a foundational aspect to that, I think, and then there's a, practical side of what you can do. And, I think it's worth looking at both of those. So foundationally, I think the first thing to appreciate is that outside of raw material, and let's be clear, from a Hoffman's perspective, and in all fairness, predominantly for Dean, I would think, the solutions are not focused so much on raw materials, but more about the product that's consumed. So, or assets that are used in a production process, which we, and is classed as indirect purchasing. So it doesn't end up in the finished article. And those products, or assets generally only represent around about 4% of the total cost of a production facility. When you look at, labor, indirect labor, direct labor, your infrastructure, your buildings, your investment in capital, etc., utilities and raw material, only 4%. So the first thing I think is we try and do is to help our clients understand, again, when I say, well, it's important to be competitive and pay the right price for the product. That's not the area to put all your effort if you want to be more productive or more profitable and successful. What you need to look is the areas that have the biggest impact on overall cost. So for us, that's indirect labor, direct labor in the production process and the processes and systems behind that. If you can make improvements there, typically we would say you'll get 10 times the saving if you had the equivalent percentage reduction in price.
Wow, that's quite motivating, isn't it?
Well, I mean, for me, I think it's it's very compelling, argument. But you went back to culture, and I think it's helping clients make that shift. And trust is all a big part of that. One of the areas we try and help our clients with this is how they manage their inventory, how they procure the products that they use indirectly, which is where our partnership with Inventor-e really connects. And, for us, helping our clients understand that and using the right solutions and having that trust is important. And that works for us with Inventor-e as well. We need trust with our partners so that we can deliver on those areas.
So, Dean, when you go out to a business and talk about their sort of digitizing their inventory management process, do you find that they know how much they're spending indirectly on their production process? Do they have any idea, or is it just something they think might help with efficiency, but they haven't really thought about the overall cost that savings involved?
I think they know the cost of the materials they're procuring, Tim, generally, I think. But what they don't know is the intangible cost that surrounds that. Yeah, what they're not so clear on is the intangible cost generally that surrounds the management of that. And they don't, very often they don't even analyze it. And I think that's where Hoffman and Tim's strategy comes in with wrapping around, servitizing a technology platform that goes into the customer and just improves all the productivity and efficiency around that. That saving is immense to the end user, but actually articulating that at the front end can be quite difficult, I think.
Yeah.
I suppose they don't have data if they've not had digital systems in place.
Yeah.
How were they doing their data before? I mean, is it all sort of paper or just laptop spreadsheets or something?
I mean, I can say from my view, I know you said earlier, Tim didn't seem too sure about customers knowing how much they spend. and this isn't said in any way disrespectfully, but unless you have, some kind of efficient way of capturing that, that data, generally clients don't really know. The data tends to be relatively inaccurate, and that's not their fault. It's because they haven't got a process yet that captures it correctly. And one of the biggest challenges you come across when particularly trying to help clients in this area of how they manage that inventory is the starting point, because they don't really know. And, I often use the analogy that the very reason they can't get us that data is the very reason they need our help. So the obstacle, is the reason you need the solution. You have to find a way through that.
And do you find they're quite excited when they start to get that data and they start to see the impact?
Generally, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a client currently in the rail sector where we work with Dean's organisation in the solutions we've got in there. We've had that contract now for just over 12 months. We presented them with savings that we believed were in excess of £170,000 during that 12-month period, and it wasn't piece price, it was process,
just
productivity. The head of the project actually said she believes we've hugely undercooked that number. She believes it to be much higher.
That's amazing.
So, yes, once we get the solutions in and we can prove the work, companies become very excited about it, because, if you take that, savings of 170,000, they spend typically about 400,000 a year with us. How much would you have to reduce your piece price to get that saving on 400,000? It's just not feasible.
Well, it's not doable, is it, Tim?
It's not doable. So you could spend, if you was just to spend, say, 5%, and say I have a project where I have to save 5% on that 400,000 spend, how many hours and people would it take to go through that? When actually that resource could be redeployed in a much more critical part of that production facility. As long as you have a trusted partner where you can benchmark and you're paying the right price, focus on the process. And that's where, we're really enthusiastic, and we trust the solutions that Inventor-e supply, because they provide us with a platform to do that.
So what about you, Dean? You must have examples like that as well of businesses that have made amazing savings in their production.
Yeah, I mean, one of our, a number of our early customers, we did some fairly extensive case studies on, and I think we did, one of our bigger end user customers, Badcock, we put in, I think, 17 stores with smart stores, and we've got about 30 weight sensor vending machines, and I think a tool vending machine as well. And because these are strategically dotted around the site, it saves a lot of walk around time, and it also reduces consumption. And, but also key is that it's automatically reordering. So it's ensuring that the productivity is maintained. But that site, we saved 3.2 million in walk around time at Royal Devon per annum.
Yeah.
Those are their numbers, not ours. And they saved, I think it was 400,000 on personal protection equipment consumption, because now everybody's accountable for what's being taken out of the vending machines and the stores by person. So the consumption in a league table of what's being consumed. So people are accountable for what's being taken.
Yes, they can't just lose, take 3 in a week or whatever because they've lost.
Well, previously they could go to a stores and pick up a Gore-Tex jacket and a pair of gloves, and they could go to another stores and do exactly the same thing, and nobody would know they've done that.
Yeah.
Now all of that is in the cloud.
Yeah.
I mean, back to your question, Rebecca, do clients get excited? I think they do, but again, maybe the culture in the UK is not everybody's completely convinced up front, and you have to wait until after. And it's taking that leap of faith to say actually going down this route is the right route to go, because change is difficult.
Yes,
it is a change within any organization to go through a project of driving efficiency and automation and trying to take as much manual touch points out of that. That's a big leap, and I think it's important for us to be able to provide that confidence to potential clients, because let's not underestimate, they might see it as a risk, even though we might be completely convinced there's a positive outcome. So that you have to have that empathy with your clients to help them along that journey, because it's not an easy step for them either.
Well, it's also in that sort of digital transformation place, isn't it? And at the moment, I think a lot of people don't really understand what that means. And I think there's a lot of fear around it, with AI taking people's jobs, really. So do you think that impacts that there's sort of a bit of resistance there, that people are a bit worried? And I mean, does it impact jobs, or does it just reallocate that ability to work to other places so they can produce more and do better?
My view would be it allows you the ability to redeploy. We're not exactly currently in a situation where it's easy to find people. The employment market is very difficult. We have a skills gap, we have a labor shortage. So in actual fact, maybe that's not as big an issue as it today as it might have been a few years ago, when maybe there was plenty of labour and we're trying to make sure we've got people in jobs. The problem at the minute is we've got more work than the people we have to carry out that work. So actually, I think this is a great opportunity to redeploy into key areas and automate where possible. Our role here absolutely is not, to help companies reduce their headcount and FTEs. Our job is to help them drive efficiency, to grow and use the capacity they already have, and that's what's really important here. But there's no doubt there is some fear around it, and again, that's where you need empathy to help the client, and a trust base.
Yeah, no, I understand that. What about you, Dean? Have you encountered sort of resistance to the digital transformation piece?
I think it's very easy to do nothing in some companies. That that people are resistant to change, and I think Tim's right. Culturally, people in the UK can be resistant to change. Not everybody, but they can be. And but what I like about particularly with Tim's and Hoffman's model, is that because they wrap around the technology and they're already supplying materials, or they, if they're trying to gain the supply of those materials in some cases, it's quite a seamless and neat way of transforming the business. And I know Tim guarantees the savings in these cases as well. So, if I'm sitting the other side of the fence as a procurement guy, I'm looking at this thinking, what have I got to lose here? And I think it does actually need to be put that simply to these customers very often.
But it's still that change process, Dean. I think you will have, if you've developed your solutions, it's speaking to the right people, finding those businesses that really understand how they can move it forward. And there is no doubt, that we come across clients that we communicate our message, what we want to do, and it still comes back and they'll just say, yeah, but how much are the products? So it's not for me to change their outlook on their business. That's completely their right, but they're not the clients we're going to be able to work with. We need people that say, what, I get it. And I need to make sure I've got the right price here, but I'd really like this goal of 10 times the savings, and how can you help me get there in partnership so that we both, can work together for that success. And I think when you look at the UK, we need more and more in our manufacturing sector businesses to think that way and to shift their view. And if we can do that, then I think, we can help to start our economy going in the right direction.
I think some of that problem, Tim, may be the way, say, procurement managers or buyers are measured. They're measured on a basket of products, drive the price down, rather than looking at the thing holistically and taking a lot more cost out if with the right strategy.
Agreed.
Yeah, but it's often about setting the right KPIs, isn't it? And if the viewpoint in the management isn't
Yes.
right, then the KPIs aren't right the way across.
Yeah, if you only target somebody on reducing the price of the product, or the piece price as we would call it, then you're going to get that behavior. And I'm not saying that shouldn't be a focus, but surely there are bigger goals that can be set out for the organization. And as I said earlier, if you've got 200,000, 400,000, Babcock, huge spend, obviously, which, most businesses fit more into that sort of medium size, where I would expect somewhere between 150, 500,000 spend, on, on indirect product, 5%, which is probably not even achievable in today's market, of a reduction in cost on piece price across the basket. How much time and effort would that cost? And the saving is minimal, 10 grand, 15 grand in a year. Whereas the bigger prize is the other side, as we said, is productivity, and helping shift that. It's not, it takes a certain mentality and leadership in organizations to achieve it. And I think our responsibility as senior people within organizations in the sector is to help spread that message.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, for Hoffman, you absolutely saw the advantages of this straight away, because it's still relatively new technology, isn't it, in the grand scheme of things?
I think vending has been around. Vending on its own has been around a long time. But almost as long as I've been in this industry, which is too long. But I think what has evolved, and this is where why we're excited about our relationship with Inventor-e, is it's not just about vending. It's about how you can use technology to manage all different types and sizes and locations and products, and bring it into one single platform, so that you have that visibility. And I think that's what's evolved. That is not something that's been around so long, and has accelerated, and that's where we're able to expand the offer, I guess, that we can give our clients.
Yeah, I think sorry.
No, carry on.
I think what's interesting is when we first started with Hoffman, it was mainly vending, because that's what they're used to, and that's where their people are used to implementing. But I think almost in every site they put vending now, there's a stores going in, for example, a smart store solution, or IoT plays a part. So, and part of that is our strategy, is to be able to, within the platform, to manage any inventory anywhere at any time, if you like. So, and that obviously is attractive to Hoffman in terms of servicing their customers. And that is different to our competitors, because our competitors are strong in vending, and that's where they've focused a lot of their time. But I think we're broader in the offer as Inventor-e. I think it's fair to say.
Really allowing manufacturers to scale up, aren't you, in terms of the vending? So whether they want to vend something very small or something very large, eventually they can keep growing the system based on the digital relationship between everything in the platform, your IT platform. Is that right? So
yeah, I mean, it's everything we do, and it goes back to we spend a lot of time making our solutions easy to use, because you don't want any resistance to these solutions going in. And, we get very high hit rates in terms of acceptability when we measure that. In fact, I was in a huddle this morning, and somebody said that, they'd got over a 90% acceptance rate to a vending machine that we just put into a customer. And
that's great.
And that's important, because it's the operators are using these, and it does, in some cases, it may slow in their mind, slow their job down, but overall it speeds it up immensely, because it's always there. It's always, there's complete visibility on where the inventory is. It's charge capturing it to a job number. There's just so much benefit behind the fact that it's self-automated.
And I mean, Tim, you're so sure that it's going to save people money. You do a rental offset model, don't you? Do you want to explain more about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we have, Dean referred to our plan we have, which is guaranteed savings plan, which is, I guess, a broad offer against our clients. It's about inventory management, but it's also about the technical support we give. We have technical support in different areas. Every product category we've got people that can help customers select the right product, get better performance out of the product. So that's about enhancing and reducing that cost of ownership. And that forms part of that, but equally it does include the inventory solutions that we use. And effectively the way we approach 99% of all our agreements is if we put a solution in, a system in, clearly that costs us something. And if the client was to go to somebody else to get that, the chances are they're either buying it or they're renting it. So our approach is to rent these solutions and then offer the customer the opportunity to subsidize that completely, 100% subsidy against the spend they have with us. So the simple message for me would be, spend what you already spend with us and we will subsidize a system for you. So that, that in itself is a cost avoidance, I guess, process. And then on top of that, you will get the productivity and efficiency savings that brings. So clients have the opportunity to use what they already spend to reduce their cost elsewhere at no additional rental cost to them. So it's quite a simple model. It's very transparent. And we call it subsidized rental.
Yeah, and attractive. I think that was the word you were missing.
Yeah, I think I'm slightly biased, I guess, but but I think Hoffman's approach is that with 100 years in serving this industry, you only do that on the back of a very good reputation, good products and good services, and clients that really trust what you do. So for us, absolutely, we would not be going to market with anything that we didn't 100% believe gave our clients an opportunity to be more efficient, more successful, and more profitable. And that's why I can say, I know this will work. And why we use our guaranteed savings plan, which is we're so sure. I like Dean's words. You can come and do that for us, Dean. It's a no-brainer because where's the risk? I'll guarantee you a saving, and if I don't achieve it, I'll write you a check.
Maybe we should get him doing little adverts for you. With Smiley. So now, Tim, you are taking over Europe, I hear. And single-handedly, I presume you have a room where you've got...
I don't know whether I'd agree with that statement.
You're pushing pieces across the map and stroking a white cat. That's what I understood. So, but I mean, obviously, you're taking inventory management across Europe. And I was just wondering, going back to that productivity question we were discussing earlier, how does Germany compare to the UK? Are they hugely better?
In productivity?
Yeah.
In broad terms, yes.
So we didn't really want to hear that.
Yeah, no, but I think we have to accept, if you look at the manufacturing, sector in Germany, what you've found over the years is much more willingness to invest. So they will invest in, the technology, they'll invest in the equipment that's required to help them be more productive and efficient. And I think, we would all accept that Germany is generally held up as a model of efficiency. And I think that's reflected in the market. What I would say is that when you look at inventory management solutions, for me, it's not a trend. I'm trying to think of the right word. It is a basis for helping to improve business productivity that is spreading, let's be honest, probably from west to east. So, for years and years and years, there's some huge companies in the US that do this really, really well. We've seen it in the UK, and now we're seeing it spread slowly east across Europe. So I think some of these concepts, whilst maybe not quite so game-changing in Germany, are for other parts of Europe, and we're seeing that trend, if you like,
spreading.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, Dean, your products, I mean, you've been picked up in America because they're so good, haven't they? And even though that's sort of leading the field, they like what you sell and they use it. So what's your view of the long-term market and sort of what's going to happen with your products over the coming years?
I think the key for a distributor like Hoffman is to try and obtain solutions that add value to their customers at a low cost per SKU. So I think a lot of our innovation these days is actually about driving the cost of our hardware down, but at the same time being disruptive in the innovation piece. I think you'll see a lot more Internet of Things in vending machines. So that'll be a trend, you know, rather than hardwired vending machines, you'll see vending machines that are not wired up in the same. And we ourselves are working on that currently. So, you know, there'll be automatic asset issuance and return. There'll be, you know, as well as the consumable piece, but in a more open system rather than having it to be sort of confined to mechanical segregation, if you like, of product. The platform will get bigger. I mean, our platform will get bigger, and I think everybody's platforms will get bigger in terms of what they can do, what they can achieve. And you know, one of our challenges is containing that to what can be scaled by our customers. You know, it's quite a significant challenge because we get lots of requests on a daily basis about what we can do and what can be done, but we have to prioritize on what can be scaled. And that's our focus, really. It's being able to deliver scalable technology for our distributors to their customers.
What do you think about the future, Tim? Where do you see it all going?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but if you go back a few years, there was an advert that
did it have Dean in it?
No, it didn't actually. No, it did it. Well, I've said that. Maybe it did.
Was it that guy
I don't remember
with the cheese?
I don't remember seeing Dean in it, but it was for telephone network called Orange. It said the future's bright, the future's orange.
It's orange, yeah.
You know, Hoffman's corporate colours are orange, so I'd like to use the same phraseology. But probably copyright says that I can't do that. Look, you know, on a serious note, for me, companies have to find a way to find a competitive edge. You know, we're competing in the UK on a global scale. You know, our manufacturing businesses are competing with low-cost labour countries, with countries that have huge government subsidies into manufacturing, which means it becomes increasingly difficult to compete. If we don't recognise that one of the ways we compete is focusing on the right areas and helping our businesses be more productive and efficient, then we won't survive. And for me, that is so important. I think there's huge opportunity. I'm, you know, really excited about helping more and more businesses be able to, you know, make use and leverage these kind of concepts. Working with Inventor-e, as Dean has said, we have now solutions that allow customers to scale and expand, start small and grow seamlessly with these kind of solutions, managing the right product in the right way and always having it available. And as we, as Hoffman, look at this more broadly, I think we will offer that to more and more customers across Europe as well. And, you know, for us, it's a key part of our value proposition. So I'm very excited about the future. I think there's huge opportunity. You know, and I think we will definitely, you know, help this sector be more productive and more successful in the future, more competitive.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much today, guys. It's been really interesting talking this through with you, and particularly having lived in Germany, I'm always looking for the English comparison. So it's been really good to talk to you both. So if anyone wants to get hold of you, where's the best place to get hold of you, Tim?
For me, the best place to get hold of me is at our offices in Birmingham, in Aston. We are moving offices very soon, actually, but only on the same site. So we're on G Business Centre in Aston. If you're asking me for the phone number off the top of my
No,
head,
no.
I
But you're on
know it.
LinkedIn as
That's
well,
really
aren't
bad.
you?
I can give you my mobile number, but probably not the office number. But get in contact with anybody Hoffman UK, and we can help. So always available.
Yeah, and you're on LinkedIn as well, aren't you?
I am in LinkedIn.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
find me on there. Yes, yeah.
So you
Definitely
can message
right
me.
beside Dean.
Of course. A little double act. I was going to make all sorts of comparisons, Laurel and Hardy. But...
Yeah, he's the better looking one.
I don't know about
that. What about you, Dean? If somebody needs to talk to you,
well, there's quite a bit of information on our website at inventor-e.co.uk, and we're based in Blythe Valley Innovation Centre in Blythe Business Park in Solihull. So if anybody wants to contact us, we've got a customer experience centre there where they can look at our solutions and see what we do.
That's great. Well, thanks ever so much, guys, and hopefully see you again soon.